Welcome to New Vegas. Wait, no. Welcome to the Outer Worlds by the makers of Fallout New Vegas. And I can say it shows. All the mainstays of a Fallout game are there. Bad AI, lots of dialogue choices, ugly equipment that's statistically better than the cool stuff, weird guys that just run at me and die. Yep, it's all there. But before I get into that, let me give you some background. You are the only conscious survivor of the Hope, a ship that was strategically lost by the megacorporation that runs the system of Halcyon. To protect their bottom line, they never unfroze the people inside the Hope and told everyone it went missing. You should be dead, because being frozen for that long leaves you in a unsurvivable state. Lucky for you, Rick Sanchez, Phineas, shows up and frees you from your stasis. Come to find that Phineas, has created a chemical cocktail that'll allow you to survive being unfrozen, but he only had enough for one person, and that was you. Being the most wanted man in the system, he can't go out much, so he tasks you with finding him what he needs to save everyone else, and thus this leads us to our first stop in Edgewater. The game focuses heavily, both in its story and its environment, on these corporations that make up the Board, the organization that controls the system. Basically, the whole game is a story about the dangers of hypercapitalism. It's pretty humorous, but it can also be quite grim. Mechanically, the game plays like a pretty standard Fallout-style game, and that's not a bad thing. Shooting your gun or swinging your melee weapon is a lot of fun, and as a loot addict, I loved killing things and taking all their stuff. The dialogue is fun and funny, giving lots of options and ways to go through a conversation if you have the stats, sometimes allowing you to circumvent a lot of stuff entirely. Graphically, the game is incredibly vibrant and distinct in its style, lacking the tint that a lot of games like it have, a generic green or brown. Even some of the more industrial areas still have beautiful visuals and bright colors. I greatly enjoyed it. The characters are all very different, and in a very Mass Effect style, each one has an opinion on most conversations if you have them with you. They will even disagree and argue with each other and support different moral choices or actions. That was one of my favorite features in Mass Effect, and seeing it return in a completely different game is awesome, as I don't generally see other games do this with companion characters. I love the fact that every quest has multiple ways to approach them. You could, in theory, just kill everyone, talk your way past certain areas, sneak past, or any mix of that. Often there are backways and hidden paths, and even when you think you have two options, there is often a third hidden option that I didn't know about. I love this because A/B choices in games, it's always just, you wanna be a good boy or a bad boy? Bad gets more money, but money doesn't matter. Good gets nothing, but you're good. Yay, good. But not this time. Sure, sometimes choices are like that, but plenty of times it's somewhat gray. It's just a choice, and it's not distinctly one way or the other, because both have their good and bad aspects, and while the end of the game really only has two real endings, I still enjoy that about the way individual quests are handled. The game was incredibly addictive to me, and I found myself playing it till well past my bedtime without realizing. That said, there are some distinct problems that I'd like to touch on. For one, combat is incredibly simple. Enemies are not smart, and neither are your allies. Everyone just kind of mindlessly attacks, they're not strategic or clever, and it's basically just a meat grinder. My allies were next to useless, as they would die very fast, even with great gear, and enemies themselves felt rarely like a real threat. It didn't mean it wasn't fun to kill them, but I never had to think about how my next murder rampage was going to go. Allies do have special abilities, but it's just the one, with its own little quick cutscene and so on. And they're just kind of okay. Having some sort of knockdown or stun effect associated with them, which is cool, but not what one might call needed. Once you use it, it goes on cooldown and they just kind of act dumb and die. I'll also say that listening to them scream or say the same one-liner over and over and over every time you use the ability was very annoying. Except for Sam. He is my son and you will respect him.
SAM units live to clean and clean to live.
I never leveled up any of the combat skills and found no enemy to be a threat to me. I hardly ever even healed. By late game, I had a horde of healing items that I never used. Social skills, on the other hand, are broken. If you basically only level up social skills and sneaking skills, you will destroy the whole game. Early on, I found I could just steal anything and then say I do what I want and no one would stop me. No, really. I say I do what I want. It's the actual option. Sneaking lets you pickpocket everyone in God. Lockpicking lets you get everywhere and into anything, and hacking lets you into any system. I once ran into a time I could not hack, but then I just swapped gear to hacking bonus gear and problem solved. Perks are also pretty mediocre. None are particularly special. They either have little value or just directly correct an issue like carry capacity. One just literally gives a flat 10 to dialogue skills. Like, what? Why wouldn't I take that over some minor damage boost to slow-mo? Oh, did I not mention that? Yeah, you have bullet time skills. I literally never needed it and used it like once at the beginning of the game. So many skills and perks affect it, yet I found I never had any use for it. Maybe someone else did, but most things died in like 2 seconds, so why would I? You also have a chance to get flaws, which give a negative but allow you to get an extra perk. This was pretty terrible. Most of the flaws were extreme, like reducing your primary attributes that never change after character creation. But none of the perks are good enough to be worth that trade. It was honestly so ignorable, I'm not even sure why it's in the game. There are multiple damage types, but other than some minor effects or extra effects to certain enemies, I didn't feel a big difference between them, nor did any of the modifications to armor or weapons feel all that significant, unless it just gave it like a scope, or simply increased the damage. The most useful mods being the ones that just give flat skill bonuses on armor. Armor is somewhat uninspiring because it's just 50 shades of the same thing most of the time. The truly unique gear isn't worth wearing as it's just worse armor for no real bonus. I opted to dress like a clown, seemed the most effective. Also, as a small aside, almost every character has the same short haircut. Men are non-distinct and women are all short, colorful this or that. Not sure why this spoke to the developers that every woman in the future wants vibrant hair shaved on the side or no longer than their ears, but they did it for some reason. It's not bad per se, and it doesn't affect the gameplay, but it was just noticeably weird. Parvati seems to be the only one with long hair, but it's up in a bun. I don't know. I just thought it was strange that they did that. It was odd to me. So all that said, you probably think I hate it, but that's not true. I absolutely loved the game. I know, hard to believe, but I really did. A lot of these are big issues, and I think if we ever get a sequel, they direly need addressing. But as just a space adventure where I kill dudes and take everything, I had a lot of fun. I was interested in the quests, enjoyed the characters, and was pleased by the humor. So if you're looking for something well-balanced, in-depth, and challenging, then this is probably not for you. But if you just want to have some casual space adventure fun and steal everyone's stuff, then you'll be right at home in the Outer Worlds. And that's why for me, personally, with all the issues aside, I'd give The Outer Worlds a recommend. It was a lot of fun, all things considered.